Hey there, Internet friends. Trevor Starkey here with another episode of Wrestling Wednesday. This week, of course, I'm going to go over the No Mercy results. Once again, I lost to my friend Cameron Abbott, the unsexiest comedian, in our monthly Portillo's bet. I think he ended up with 5 to my 3 correct predictions, because apparently the WWE never wants me to have Portillo's on his dime. The streak continues for him. Anyway, let's run through the show. You had potential for a couple really great matches. You had, two of the, match of the year contenders with Cena versus Reigns and Strowman versus Lesnar. So how did they stack up? How did the WWE deliver? Up first, we had the kickoff match between Apollo Crews and Elias, and admittedly, I didn't really watch this one. After the last few pay-per-views, I've basically kind of stopped watching the pre-show stuff, because if I watch the pre-show, they go through all the hype packages, and then they go through all the hype packages again in the main match. So, I'll watch if it's somebody I'm interested in watching, but since I didn't even know Elias and Apollo Crews were doing this match until Elias was there in the ring in the pre-show, I didn't care. WWE didn't care. They didn't set this up beforehand at all. It was just a couple of guys they threw in the ring. I had the pay-per-view kind of on in the background, but I was mostly focusing on Destiny and watching my friends over at Irrational Passions do their live recording of this week's show. So I saw that this was on, but I didn't watch it really at all. I'm sure it was fine. I saw Elias got the win, which makes sense since he's the one that they actually try and give screen time to on a regular basis. So yeah. No real surprise there, but yeah, didn't really do anything for me. Never bothered to go back and watch it after the fact. Kicking off the show proper, we had the Intercontinental Championship between The Miz and Jason Jordan, and it was a solid enough match to kick off the night, but it was very clear that the audience is not behind Jason Jordan. They were very much a Miz crowd, but even The Miz probably didn't get as much hype and buzz behind him because of the lackluster nobody giving a shit about Jason Jordan and his whole failed Kurt Angle's son gimmick that they're continuing to play. I predicted that The Miz would win here, and sure enough he did, but they definitely seem to be setting up this feud continuing on. You had The Miz basically winning with assistance from the Miztourage, so I'm sure Jason Jordan, as he kind of alluded to in his post-match interview, I imagine he'll want to try and get a rematch where the Miztourage is barred from being at ringside or something, to see if they could, how they will do in a one-on-one, and that's probably when Jason Jordan will win and get the push with the title that they seem to be kind of setting him up for. Up next, we had the rematch between Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt, with Finn Balor not in demon makeup this time. Okay. I don't know why this rematch happened. I'm glad Balor won, because he's the guy I want to see get the push. But ultimately, I just don't care about this feud. Bray Wyatt just kind of spouts nonsense and is a nice time to tune out and do anything else. Check Twitter, whatever. The only real difference between this match and the one at SummerSlam seems to be that when Bray Wyatt does his weird little upside down crab walkie thing where he's like this, but face up or whatever. Apparently that stopped Balor in his tracks this time around, but we kind of figured that's what would happen, because when Wyatt did it at the SummerSlam match and it had no effect on Demon Finn, he sold that, something's amiss here. So the whole sequence of this feud has been out of sequence, and it's just kind of been dumb. Cameron kind of predicted when we were having Portillo's on Sunday that we would see the Wyatt family get reunited to give them something to do, and maybe have a lead into a Wyatt versus Bullet/Balor Club feud, and that might actually be interesting. I'd be more inclined to see that than what we're currently seeing, and the fact that it seems to be continuing on even after this week's Raw. And Wyatt's still messing with Balor. I'm just stop it. Just let this be done and move Balor onto something better. Because I just don't care. Match of the night was next, the Raw Tag Team Championship match between Rollins and Ambrose and Cesaro and Sheamus. Easily the match of the night for me, as I said, and that's before Cesaro busted up his face and his teeth when he got slingshotted into the ring post. That was painful to watch and rewatch because they kept showing the replay and seeing like, yep, that's when his teeth apparently got shoved right up into his face. But between him like continuing on for another 10 or so minutes in this match, and him destroying the beach ball at SummerSlam, like he is easily in the running for like top wrestler of the year for me. He kicked ass, and kudos to him for doing and continuing on as he did. A real professional guy there. Overall, even outside of all that stuff, there was just a lot of great back and forth energy in this match. It felt like Rollins being super power bombed onto Ambrose should have probably been like the end of the match. That should have been like the finisher, but obviously they decided they wanted to keep the belts on Rollins and Ambrose, which I'm fine. That's what I predicted, but they gave the strongest move of the match easily to Cesaro and Sheamus. So it seems like unreal that Ambrose was able to kick out of that. Ultimately, Cesaro ends up falling and kind of putting an end to his very bad day when he got like a trio of finishers thrust upon him. He got an accidental brogue kick, which led into Seth Rollins' weird little knee thing that I think he stole from Kenny Omega. I feel like that's what I've heard on the internets. But I don't even know, does he have a name for it? I don't know. And then lastly, Dirty Deeds, and Ambrose got the pin. So it'll be interesting to see where things go from here. But yeah, all in all, like great match, great back and forth, and Cesaro's a friggin' champ for going through with that match in that condition. Raw Women's Championship was next. I really don't know why Bayley was in this match. I guess maybe to flesh out this whole push that Alexa has now of like, I cleared all of the women's roster. There's nobody in the division that can hold a candle to me, to set up for Asuka coming in. But we didn't need Bayley in that. Bliss won the title from Bayley and retained against Bayley already this year, so we didn't need to see her, recreate that. And the fact that again here Bayley was the one pinned, like it sucks that they just kind of keep burying Bayley, I guess, because she seems to be a nice kid who is good at this and really loves it. So I don't know why they keep treating her, I guess, like a kid. Anyway, you had a couple great moments with Nia Jax having like a super Samoa drop with was it Bliss and Sasha Banks, or Emma and Sasha Banks? I don't know. Two people on her shoulders that she dropped down. And then of course you had that thing that they always do with Nia Jax of like, oh, everybody's got to work together to take her out of the match for a little bit. Ultimately, Bliss won after DDTing a returning Bayley. It's kind of a lackluster finish, but there were nice little seeds planted in the match with Bayley and Sasha both kind of breaking up each other's pinfalls and going after each other a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see if we're heading in a direction that while Alexa Bliss goes off and fights Asuka, and then maybe Nia Jax goes and fights Asuka, we'll have like the deterioration of the Bayley-Sasha Banks friendship, and kind of a rivalry blossom between them going into the rest of the year. Then we had John Cena versus Roman Reigns, and as predicted, the last month or so has basically been serving to pass the torch from Cena to Roman as the WWE's main guy, and once again, it fell flat, just like it has with every other time they've attempted this. The fact that Reigns was able to kick out of 4 AAs, including one from like the second rope, just kind of bullshit, especially when coupled with how Lesnar and Strowman happens later. If Reigns doesn't have the charisma to sell a spear and the Superman punch as being like believable, viable finishers, he doesn't have the charisma to lead the company, and he's just underwhelming. And this was all underlined by the fact that, you know, Cena had kind of a long goodbye, a la like The Undertaker at WrestleMania here, where he just kind of hung out in the ring for a while, kind of taking it all in, got a thank you Cena chant, and then kind of like, yeah, like slowly walked backstage, and then in Raw Talk afterwards was talking about, you know, is this a passing of the torch? Are you retiring? What's going on? And just like the whole narrative around this match didn't earn its, like, it's trying to go for like, oh, Cena now respects Reigns, and Roman really showed him something there, but he didn't. Like, that's the story that WWE is trying to tell, but it's not the story they've ever been able to show us. And it's because Roman doesn't have it. He's not the guy. Like, everything Cena called him out for in those promos is accurate, and it's what the fans feel, and it's what they've felt for years. I've felt it since I came in. They're backing the wrong horse. They've got other more talented guys on the roster, but they continue every single time to put Reigns over, and every single time it falls flat. And that's on him. That's on him, and that's on the WWE for trying to continue to force it to happen. As the filler between that and the Universal Championship match, of course, you had the Cruiserweight Championship match, and fuck this match, because it was 99% Neville just dominating and beating the crap out of Enzo, and then Enzo getting one low blow in, and that's what ends Neville's, like, dominant reign as, like, the king of the Cruiserweights, which, admittedly, would have been a lot more impressive if Tozawa hadn't beat him, like, a month ago, for, you know, all of 6 days or whatever. Like, Cruiserweight's just kind of been a huge afterthought, and it's disappointing, because they do some cool stuff. Not with Enzo. Enzo's trash in there. He's not a good worker. He's great on the mic, but he's bland here. And even, like, this whole week, he's not been great on the mic. He's been using the exact same stuff. Like, in the last 3 promos he's had, he's used the exact same kind of, like, insults and rhetoric and stuff. And it's kind of, like, he's boring at this point. So, you know, fuck this match. Fuck its ending. Credit where credit is due, though. Like, it's gotten to the point where it is uncomfortable watching this on-screen hazing of Enzo for his, you know, alleged backstage heat and everybody backstage hating him. When you have, like, Strowman and the entire Cruiserweight division coming out and kicking his ass in front of a live audience and stuff, it's, like, dude takes a beating, and it's tough to watch. Like, it's not good. And with him having this weird little clause in there now that if anybody, like, attacks him, they forfeit a chance for, like, a title shot, having everybody attack him and forfeit their shots for a title shot, I would love to see, like, them go, you know, down a kind of a silent treatment route or something where he, you know, comes and is a blowhard and does his stuff on the mic, but nobody actually wants to fight him. They keep fighting amongst themselves and maybe create their own new belt or something and just kind of treat his as a joke. Maybe that's where they'll go with it. I doubt it. That seems like way too creative. I'm sure they'll just kind of undo that dumb little clause thing, and we'll go back to just regular weirdness on 205 Live. But fuck this match. It was not a good filler. And then lastly, you have the Universal Championship between Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman. Another match that had a lot of great potential behind it, but suffered from creative's decision to keep the wrong guy on top. Despite showing us time and time again these last few months that Strowman is such a dominant, powerful force, he goes down to a single F5 here. The fact that Lesnar wins clean continues to build him up when he doesn't need any kind of build-up, and he continues to be pushed as this unstoppable beast, which works if you completely forget that Goldberg took him out in a minute and a half last year, because he's not, like, so I don't get why they took all that time to build up Strowman so great and then have him lose clean here. Oh, wait, it's because they're clearly setting up for an inevitable, long-rumored thing between Reigns and Lesnar at WrestleMania, and it'll be attempt number 2,705 to get Roman over with the audience, and it'll fail again. So the WWE is putting up their bland beast that's never there against the bland guy that nobody wants to be there, and it's just bad. Like, that's why things aren't going well for you. That's why numbers are dropping for the WWEs, because they're not listening to what the fans are interested in. They're just trying to continue to force this down their throats and say, you'll like it. The WWE could have given Strowman a chance here, but they passed the wrong damn torch. So those are my thoughts on No Mercy. Started out strong, but ultimately the last half of the card fell incredibly flat for me, and really ends up disappointing me when it could have, gone like gangbusters. Could have been some really cool stuff in there. You could have had some really nice change and shake some things up, and of course they didn't. And I don't know why that surprises me. Let me know what you thought about No Mercy in the comments below. As always, I've been your host, Trevor Starkey from TrevorTrove.com. You can follow me at SnarkyStarkey on Twitter. And until next time, from here at the Trove, treasure your friends.